Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Real Sports Scope. I'm your host, Robert Butler, on this, what is today, the 14th day of May. Got a great show with you for tonight. NFL schedule release. Got some of the big games I want to see in week one. Hopefully, Matt New Yorker will come up here momentarily, and we'll talk about that as well. The Jets and the Titans will play. Robert Saleh coaching against his former team that fired him just 2 years ago. That'll be a great one. What can the 76ers do with Joel Embiid? Plus, are the Pistons in trouble and more? Stand by. We'll take our first and only break, and we'll be back here momentarily and hit the ground running here on the Real Sports Scope. Hello, Sports Scope followers. The program has seen tremendous growth since going 5 days a week. I just wanted to thank everybody for your cash contributions and sharing the program with friends and families. Just a reminder, if you want to contribute to the program, go to the Cash App, the cash sign, and Sports Scope. There are other ways to contribute to the program listed at the bottom of the screen. If you want to advertise on the program, go to sports, that is sports with an S, another S, scope, SKOPE, at gmail.com, just like it's listed at the bottom of the screen. Thank you and enjoy the program. All righty then, I'm back here live. And I tell you what, it was a great game last night. Detroit Pistons, Cleveland Cavs. Pistons looked to be in control the whole game towards the very end. Could not get a shot off. Goes into overtime. And just the Cavs just made more plays between James Harden and Donovan Mitchell. You simply have more scores there with the Cleveland Cavaliers. Cavs been in the playoffs last few years, winning into a few playoff rounds. The Pistons really have not. I know they were there last year. Pistons simply lack that other shooter. You know, they're going to have to get another scorer, whether you go to the depth route and get in some more depth there, upgrade your roster 2 to 3 players, or you may go after one blockbuster player, whether it be a Giannis. I was looking up some things. It looks like they don't have enough to get a guy like a Giannis per se. But Cade Cunningham cannot do it all. Charles Barkley said after the game, he said, listen, I had never seen one guy being asked, excuse me, got something in my throat here. He said, I've never seen one guy being asked to do so much in one role is like a Cade Cunningham. So the fact that they had the best record in the East and they actually got past Orlando, it's really a miracle, you know, with their just lack of scoring. I mean, just brick after brick, open three, missed it at the end, could have won it game. I mean, just could have cut it to one in overtime, but it didn't happen. It looks like, even though they're the higher seed, Cleveland 3-2 lead. This will go back to Cleveland. Now, listen, it's a gritty team. It's a deep team. It's a very young team. Other than Tobias Harris, the Pistons are a very young team. They could very much do something. Let me go ahead and bring in the Mad New Yorker here. All right, buddy. Hey, I was just talking about this game last night. Turned out to be a really good game. I recorded it. Just got done watching the rest of it. Cavs look to have that edge there. I was telling the audience, it looks like just Detroit simply lacks that other big game score. What's your thoughts on that, Carlos?
Yeah, I think, though, it's not the score. I think they're just getting tired. The stamina, they look like they're not pushing the ball and using that quickness that they were doing to the other teams earlier in the season. I think that just their legs are probably shot by this point because they're still kind of green if you think about it. They're still a young team. So between that and this is they just turned to their first instinct because they were doing so well and shooting that three ball when they should be attacking the basket and trying to get fouls, because this Cavs team, they'll give you an opportunity to get back in the game. So, between being tired and not making that second thought, that split second thought that, I'm not going to chuck this three, I'm going to make an extra pass. They're literally allowing the Cavs to come back on defense, allowing them to get into the mix, allowing them to get those defensive rebounds and things like that. So I'm not going to say it's not competitive, but they just don't look like the team, the playoff team that we want to see right now. And give it up for the Cavs. They're doing what they're supposed to do. They're allowing their players to move the basket. They're giving Harden shots, wide open shots, and they're allowing this guy to rest a little bit, and then he can just come up and play the third and fourth quarter.
Yeah.
I forget his name.
Donovan Mitchell.
Donovan Mitchell. I was about to say Mitchell. So, everything that I feel like the Cavs are planning to do to try to make sure they stay ahead of Detroit is going their way. And everything Detroit's trying to do, they get away from. And I just think it's because they're tired. I think it's the fact that they don't have the stamina, and just because they're young, they're not being wise about things. And it's small things. It's not like, they are actually a good matchup for each other. If you think about it, the Cavs are winning that matchup right now.
Yeah, Cavs seem to have that talent edge. I think they'll probably win it, but hey, listen, they're a scrappy team. Detroit's gritty defensive team. They could beat Cleveland, but having to come back 3-1 against Orlando, now having to come back 3-2, it looks like the fatigue factor may catch up with them, and it goes back to they don't have consistent scores to like I said before you got on. Charles Barkley said, I've never seen one player asked to do so much other than a Cade Cunningham. I mean, they're asking him to do way too much here. They need a really compliment. It's not Tobias Harris. He's more of a role player. They're going to have to make a big move or just upgrade their depth. I was looking up some things online.
Yeah, but Robert, that's what they're doing wrong. Tobias Harris is coming off the bench. Start him. Play him. He's got energy. He hasn't done anything.
At this point, you throw everything out there.
Right. I mean, but they should have done that 2 games ago when they were. Yeah. They're just still trying to hold off and they're trying to stretch the bench, right? Like we talk about this all the time. If you want to be a championship team, how many people you need on your bench? How many people you need?
I mean, you need to play about 10 players, and a lot of these teams play about 6.
You need 6.
Oh, 6 off the bench. I'm saying not 6 total. 6-man rotation will get you beat in the playoffs.
Exactly. That's the thing. That was the thing, is that you can't win the playoffs. You have to extend your bench. You can't just be like thinking 6, and that's what the coach at the Detroit Pistons is doing. He's not. Bickerstaff isn't allowing the guys to even get hot because they're already tired, because he's just using the guys up too much. And it's I understand his thought is like not everybody's rested.
Yeah.
Like, and Cam got to go out there and do all this, but you got to push these guys. You're paying them. You might as well let them play. So, and his thing is like, he don't want to keep the young guys out there, but the young guys are the ones that are making the Cavs older players tired. Harden is now a legitimate situation.
Mid-30s. I mean, he's up there. Right. He may wear it out. That's why I haven't ruled out Detroit from coming back. Right.
They made Harden a legitimate threat where he wasn't even a threat for the first 2 games.
Yeah.
Because he's older, he don't got stamina. But now they're allowing him to just play this, one-on-one game, and that's not what they need to do, man. And again, this Cleveland team is beatable with that Detroit team they have. The problem is they're not taking advantage of pushing the ball inside, forcing these guys to get terrible, because Cleveland makes terrible fouls, right? Like they're not doing that at all, and it's. Like I said, it's almost like watching a tired team play basketball, and it's not, it is what it is. But I want to see them be more competitive. Even though Detroit, they get back into the game, the Cavs have been kind of controlling, the ball and everything. But they still, because they're older, and they get tired faster. They give Detroit that little bitty chance to get back in the game, and they're keeping these games close.
Oh, they could still come back and win. Other than Tobias Harris, that's a very young team. The Detroit,
right.
Cleveland's their big man is an older player. James Harden's an older player. Mitchell's in his prime, but that's about it. They got some young pieces there, but they have been in these games before. More than Cleveland, they got more experience than Detroit. Excuse me, they got more experience than Detroit. This may cost the Detroit's coach his job, but I would say this: you got to have some more players there. The shooting is just not consistent enough.
Stop shooting, bro.
Get a Kobe White or somebody like that, a Bobby Portis, Malik. So you just got to get some more streaky shooters, and I'm sure they're going to try to pursue that in the offseason.
I mean, look, you saw that shooting three got you to the playoffs, but it's not going to get you through the playoffs. Stop shooting the ball so much. Start pushing it. Start dunking it. Start moving the ball around.
You just need more consistent score. They just do not have guys that can put the ball in on a consistent basis. You can't lean that much on one guy. It's too much.
Robert, like we've seen it. We're smaller guys. We play basketball. We know that you can win by the three or you can die by the three. But this Cavs team only got one guy inside that's actually a defensive stopper. If you had Cade Cunningham, Tobias Harris, and then even one of those younger players who are big come in inside and just make a triangle around it, they should be winning this series, bro.
Yeah, between guys like Mobley and Jared Allen, who I was trying to think of earlier, the center there, he's got some age on him.
Yeah,
good player though, very good player.
I'm not downing the Cavs. Like I'm not trying to speak bad of them, but they are taking advantage of a tired green Detroit team. And I think
who has to blame for that? That's Detroit, because Detroit lacks the consistent scores. That's why they got pushed to they probably should have lost to Orlando. They were down 3-1. They cannot hang. They cannot go tit for tat with these more talented teams. They're a greedy team who won 60 games off of just playing great defense during the regular season, but you still have to score.
Yeah, and I see
whether it's mid-range or whether it's from the three. Obviously, you want to be mid-range.
Right.
OKC Thunder. I mean, they're one of the best mid-range teams out there, and they're the defending champs and ain't lost a game yet.
And to that point, I see that Detroit, they want to go toe-to-toe with Harden shooting threes. They don't have a guy who can shoot like Harden, and can, even if he get fouled, can make 80% free throws. They should just push the ball inside and force the Cavaliers to play fast and big, because they're not.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens. You got to be happy about your Knicks. They're sitting there home, healing up, waiting while these two teams beat the crap out of each other. What are your thoughts about that sweep there? I mean, it's one thing just to dog out the other team. Another thing, hey, look, they're just playing good basketball, man. The Knicks are playing. They're moving the ball well. They're shooting the ball well. They're making the extra pass. The coaching is making good adjustments. I can't find anything that's really wrong with them other than maybe the lack of defense and the lack of, opponents. But these are NBA teams, and they are pretty talented teams they're beating. What do you think about your Knicks getting that sweep last week, man, over the weekend?
I'm how can I say this? I'm excited that they're still in it, but I have some trepidation because the way they finished off these last two teams, they were the better team. And if you get a West Coast team in here right now, had they played this week, I don't think that they maybe win one game. And I say that because the amount of work that they've done to be more of a team, play more of a team game, has been outstanding. But they're doing it against teams that are hurt or older or tired, and they were successful, but I wish it was against a team from like one of the West Coast opponents that are
Western Conference,
because Western Conference opponents, because had they played a team like Dallas or a team like San Antonio or even a team like Oklahoma, similar styles. And I feel like we could have got a better gauge of how the Knicks are actually doing. But you play who you play. They won against these teams.
Right.
They're playing better team ball. They're using their bigs. They're using the inside game and the outside game. They're not depending on the three, except for the fact that Deuce came out and had one of the best games in his career and helped the team win. And that was one of the reasons that they were able to step up, even with OG going out with that injury. So, look, I'm excited for them, but I'm not going to jump on this crazy train that they got going here that the Knicks are going to be championship winners all of a sudden. They have to prove themselves that they're worthy of being called champions, and they got to go out there and play basketball. And they're going to have to do it with a good Western Conference team, whoever comes out of that section, right? So,
yeah. Oh, you would want it to be the Spurs. They're 3-1 against the Spurs. They're 0-2 against the Thunder.
Right.
So obviously the Spurs have to finish off Minnesota. That's my next question there. Are you surprised at how well Wembanyama's played in the playoffs? Now that it's a different season in the playoffs against the team when Minnesota had a former defensive player of the year and Rudy Gobert.
Right. I am surprised at the fact that Minnesota – I'm more surprised at the fact that Minnesota is very combative, very persistent, and they just catch fire and stay in the game. They're not a one-and-done team. They're going to fight you to the end. And
they could push just to 7. Yeah, they could.
Yeah, and now that they have one of the players that hurt, they more – to have a more togetherness, to have a more what's that word? Trying to think. No, they have the clock is ticking on them, right? So they're feeling that they need to get this win. So yeah, kudos to Minnesota, the coaching staff, the players over there. They're being more mindful. They're playing better basketball. They're taking better shots, and it's tough to see that because that's everything I'm saying that you usually talk about San Antonio doing that. Yeah. They're giving San Antonio everything that San Antonio was hoping to take advantage of. They're giving it back to them, and it's
well, they got the 2-0 lead. I mean, they're up 3-2. Do you think Wembanyama should have been suspended for that game? I do not. I thought
the elbow. Look, we from the school of hard knocks.
Yeah.
You get inside, you're gonna get hit, and you're gonna get hit hard. I mean, you got to protect yourself before you wreck yourself. So that's what we were used to playing in the courts and places like you. If you're gonna go inside, you gotta get ready for the hit. And there was talk about the coaches saying they're not protecting Wemby. There's this whole thing about refs not calling calls.
Yeah.
No matter what it is. Every basketball player knows from 5'2" to 7'2", if you're going to go inside, you're going to get hit. And most of the time, you're going to get a scratch at least. So the elbow to the face, it wasn't warranted. He shouldn't have done that, but he does have to protect himself. I feel like that was the best time to do it, to do anything and get in trouble for it, because you put everybody on the call now. Like, yo, I might be young and I might be skinny, but I ain't a punching bag. You know what I'm saying? And I like that.
Right. Let me show you the elbow. Let me show you. I still got this clip here.
Oh,
you got a chance to see it. Nobody else showed this part, but I'm trying to get an edge on the big networks. Watch this elbow that he took going back to that game 4, that he took that was not even called a flagrant one. This is one of the players from Minnesota. It was one of the role players. I don't know who. It wasn't Naz Reid. That he elbows Wembanyama. It was called a foul, but it's not called a flagrant one. But you could see his frustration, and I don't blame him. This has happened just before he got thrown out the game beforehand. Watch it.
And Jamal, we've been seeing this throughout the playoffs, right? It was that first round series with Portland, and now here.
I mean, up under the chin. And here's the other one, man. This is the one where he actually got in trouble and got kicked out of the game 4.
There you go. There's the bat. The puck's out. There's that. There's that. That's ooh.
That's in super slow motion. You know, that's sharp elbows. Give me the ball. But that happened 2 minutes after the other one. So you can kind of see, okay, his school of thought. And, of course, the NBA got it right. They didn't do nothing in Game 5. No fine, no suspension. Of course, the Spurs won Game 5. Don't you think that, hey, listen, it's just hard to play basketball. You know, I may have just called the Wemby one a flagrant one and kept him in the game in Game 4.
At the end, there got to be consequences for your actions, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with what happened. I'm okay. It didn't go further than what it went.
Okay.
He even took it like, I got ejected for that. He just like, you know what? Whatever, bro. Because again, you got to set yourself. You got to tell people, man. You got to show people that you're not going to be, bullied. You're not going to be, a puncher bag, man. And these guys in our day, man, the big guys, they was.
Well, that was typical Rodman basketball, Detroit.
Rodman, not just them, like
the Bulls,
Baby Shaq, and all those big guys inside, man. They would hit you, bro. Like even the guys that weren't that popular, man. Or just
Shaq in general, I guess, yeah.
Or Tag and bro, everybody, even this guy Kevin McHale, like you can take it back to then, like those big guys, they would hit you, man. Even the what's this guy's name? The Chief, he gave a few elbows. Yeah, man. So, you Shaq, everybody who's big. The problem is if you're over 6'11", and I'm not, but when I play with guys, and I try to always play with guys that are over 6'5", just to make it fun. They always tell me, man, no, don't throw it low. They're gonna hit me in my nuts. It's like I'm gonna pass you the ball where nobody can
Charles Oakley,
Charles Oakley.
He's a tough guy, man. Anthony Mason with those Knick teams.
They're always like, hey, throw it where if you have to throw it at the other guy's face, I'll catch it. I'm like, all right. He's like, don't throw it low, or I'll get hit in the nuts, or like or get hit in the gut. So you want to make them happy. You just throw it near. You throw it just by like as low as the net is hanging, and they'll catch it because they're tall. So but again, once they catch it, they put the elbow up to protect themselves. They move if they're not close to the goal, they'll move around and elbow you. Like I don't think it's anything new. I'm just glad that he did it for himself to protect himself. Show people that he's not a punching bag. Set an example, and then
they're trying to bully him and be fair. I told you that's what they'll do in the playoffs.
And the refs need to be. They need to be. They're trying to call fair games, which is what they're claiming. But there's a lot of these games that just some of the stuff that they call is beyond me. And they're actually some of the stuff. And when they call these fouls or these things, they make the game longer, and they're making the score stay closer than what it should be. And I mean, eventually they'll fix that after next season.
Well, also since the last time we talked, the Sixers fired Daryl Morey. There's talk about Joel Embiid, 40 games the last 3 years this guy's played. And the main reason for Morey getting fired was because Embiid's played. My thing about Embiid, man, listen, I would trade him and take a hit on the trade just to get rid of the salary at this point. I'd give somebody a pick and Embiid and just get some expiring contracts if possible, just to get his cap off my just get it. And if I'm a team that's trading for him, I take the extra player and the pick. Of course, you got to make the salaries match. Right. And he's basically a rotational player at this point. Don't you think? I mean, 40 games the last 3 years. He's 32 years old. So what do you think, man?
Every season since we've been talking around the 76ers, like since we started the podcast and doing the show, I've always said they need to blow that. They need to blow that up. That's not good. That's not a good team. It's gonna fall back on them. I even said a few years, like even when they got rid of Tobias, I'm glad he's gone because he didn't want to be on that team. And when he was on that court, he showed it. You know, the best situation they got out of that team was that Maxey actually got a pro contract, at a good pro contract, and he's worth the money. The worst thing that happened was they keep funneling money to Embiid, and they had to because the way his contract's structured. And on top of that, he was MVP status for the last 2 years. So, and he was just barely making enough, playing enough to keep that MVP status and be in the running. Because after a certain amount of games, you can't, you fall out of the race if you don't play enough games. Right. So this has been a situation I've mentioned.
Time coming is what you basically saying.
Yeah, we touched on it, and I was like, but the problem now is we don't know exactly what his contract says. We don't know how he's promised, what he's promised. We can't say that trade him and take the hit because we don't know. We don't know if teams, if they take him as a trade, how much he's supposed to be guaranteed.
Well, that's the problem. A lot of these contracts are guaranteed, and that's been the problem with the NBA for years. You got to have some leniency for the organizations not to have these contracts, air quote, fully guaranteed for situations like Embiid. And you want to prevent taking, make it easier for teams to get out of these contracts, And I understand paying a player so much money that's guaranteed. I don't want the players to get totally just axed by the organization. That being said, you got a guy like that, man, it's hard to move on. You don't want teams to just stay stagnant and bad forever, I mean, we've had this historically good lottery coming up, 30 years talented. Jay Billis said that this draft is 30 years the most talented draft potentially in 30 years since 1996 with Allen Iverson and whatnot. But there was a lot of tanking going on. Why was there tanking to get these players? Because there's no other way to get good because you're stuck with contracts like Embiid's, So let's see what happens to the 76ers. Last I talked to Jamie, the Philly sports guy, he says they don't really care for that owner up there because he also owns the Commanders. And he's just not a great owner. So they're not really in a great situation. But they do got, what's his name, Beneford, and, of course, Maxey. They do got two positives there. And, and Giannis, Chad asked about Giannis. I mean, I'd like to see Detroit figure out a way to get him. I would kind of like to see it looks like Golden State, with Steve Kerr's going to stay there 2 years. They probably going to be the team to get him. I think they're going to try to find a way to get him. I don't know if your Knicks are going to do anything now because they got a shot to win a championship. So I don't know if they're going to go after him. Somebody's going to go after him because the owner's already said that there's going to be a move made probably before the draft coming up next month.
Yeah, it probably is going to be Golden State just because they have to stay relevant and they're aging out their players and so forth. And look, to wrap up Embiid's thing, there was a guy who got signed with a lot of contracts that fell short of what we thought was going to be a great career in John Wall. I'm sorry, I said Josh Wall. John Wall and
Wizards, yeah.
And they could never get rid of him. And then when they finally did, it was too little, too late. And I think he's still getting paid some guarantee money, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, we don't know. Again, we don't know.
He's been bad for so long.
Yeah, we don't know his. Again, we don't really know what his contract says. So, and at that point, they were giving out those huge extensions and guarantee money. So, to try to keep the player there. So, now with Giannis, I think it's too little, too late. I think he should have been traded 2 seasons ago.
Yeah, they probably got more for him.
Yeah, and they probably would have got a healthier player too. But if anybody's going to pick him up, I do feel like, and they would probably accept him, and it wouldn't be a terrible team. Would probably be Golden State. On top of that, they'd have they're keeping the coach there, like you said, and so that I don't see him going to a team like Dallas that could probably use him. Or a team that can. I don't see him going to a team that can.
Boston would be a wild card. They need a big. Mentioned Boston and Denver doing something. Boston's there. they need a big. They could possibly deal Brown or Tatum, but I don't know if they want to do that. I don't know. I mean, it would be close salary-wise. You can match them up. You could do that. That would be food for thought there.
Yeah, I don't know if he'd do well in Boston.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
I'm not saying that because if Boston can always move a coach, so I don't. If I was him and I had my agent, I'd just work Golden State because I feel like that's the easier transition, to be honest with you.
Yeah, Steve Kerr can make things happen. What are your thoughts? Did any of those players stand out? You watch a lot of college basketball. Like I said earlier, they're saying ESPN, Jay Billis, a lot of NBA scouts, most talented draft in 30 years. The Washington Wizards, speaking of the devil, got the #1 pick the other day.
Right.
And you never hear this from the NBA. You hear it from the NFL all the time. But the Wizards would be willing to trade down because there's talks that maybe that Trae Young wouldn't fit with DeBonsa, which is a very good player out of BYU. I've watched a lot of his games.
Yeah.
You never hear the possibility of the team with the 1 pick with a talented draft like this wanting to trade down, but it's so deep NBA-wise that they would be wanting to. I think it's interesting. I would possibly want to trade down as well. Maybe Utah would trade up, or maybe a Memphis, somebody like that would trade up for the guy. I don't know. Utah would probably be a better fit for him.
Right, he stays there
because he already plays at BYU, so
right, he'll stay in town. Right,
he'll stay in state there.
He'll stay, yeah.
Does any of these players stand out? I can't put my finger on it because I could see this Caleb Wilson from North Carolina. I could see him possibly. He got injured, but I could see him possibly being the best player. They said this Drew, whatever his name is, Pearson, I guess, from Kansas, who had some injury problems. There's thoughts that he could be the best player. So what do you think about that, man? What do you think about this class coming in? It's supposed to be historically good.
As a connoisseur of college basketball, no, man, listen, I like the excitement, but I'm a little trepidation. I have a little bit of trepidation because almost all these guys are freshmen. Now I get it, one and done. I get all that. But there's something to say about a kid playing an extra year or 3 years in the NCAA, because then you get a better picture of how this guy has, how he's gotten better with the one season, what he's been working on to develop, what skills he's been working on. So you get a little bit more of a gauge. So as much as I like a lot of these kids on the roster of the top picks, the top 10 picks, I to be honest with you, I would pump the brakes on 3/4 of these kids, man. And as a GM, I would look to make some moves to get older guys who are on the second tier, because I think those guys have a little bit more tape. They show how their shot making abilities have improved. They show that they have made positive development moves on their skills. And they've showed also that they were loyal to stay in school one more year to try to get something out of the school, and even if they didn't want to get a degree, right? Yeah. So if I'm a GM, my focus would be on let everybody prey on the first half of these kids. I'll be taking the 25 to 40 kids.
Yeah. No, I would definitely not do that. I mean, these are guys.
Because the problem is, you don't have to pay them, but you have to develop them. And there aren't that many teams in the league that can develop players that are at the top range of picking these top 10. That's to me, that's the biggest. And I'll give you a good example for the last few years when Sacramento had 3 first-round picks in a row. Those guys, Buddy Hield, they sent that guy to the Pacers. What's his name? And then he got hurt.
Yeah.
And they didn't have anybody they had a decent team.
Halliburton.
Yeah, Halliburton, and then they had somebody else there. They had a decent. Yeah, they had 4 or 5 guys there, man. They had a decent squad, but they wasn't.
De'Aaron Fox.
They just couldn't get them. They would play basketball. They were great at playing basketball. They just couldn't win, and they didn't have any development there. So
I think they gave. I just disagree with that. I think they gave up too soon. They didn't get the right coach, man. They just did not get the right coach.
And yes, coaching matters, but again, if you're picking top 10 talent, these guys should be able to, when the coach is there, they should be able to simulate and be able to go up a little bit, but they're not going to take off. What's going to happen is that the team is going to play better, and it just was not. But Sacramento, they just didn't do that. So, because the players were, as much as they were top picks, they were missing something, and most of it was playing on the court in the NBA.
Okay.
You know. So,
all right.
But again, I like these kids. If I go to pick one off, the one I like the Tennessee, because I follow Tennessee. I like Amit.
Yeah, and he's considered. Let me interrupt you. He's considered the 8th overall prospect. This guy looks like a Kevin Durant type of. He looks like a slightly smaller version of a Kevin Durant. Silky smooth jumper, just rebounds the ball at ease. He should have stayed another year. He could have been the number 1 or number 2 pick, because he could have been a potential top 5 pick when he's going to be a top 10 pick, or maybe even 1 or 2 next year. I'm really surprised that he actually came out in this incredibly deep draft. ESPN has him as qualified as the 8th overall prospect. He looked like one of the best Tennessee players I've seen in probably 20 years, maybe ever. You know?
And then, I like
Allen Houston, but he could be better than Allen Houston.
I think he needed one. I think he needs one more year, but I just don't know what team will pick him, and I hope that he works on his own game personally, and then to take on whatever team that he gets on, roles that he needs to get better at. And then I would go with I like Boozer, but I would go with the point guard and Acuff Jr.
Yeah. He could score for days.
Yeah.
I mean, that guy's explosive as all get out.
So those are maybe the 2 guys. If I was a GM, I would look at to pick up. I know they're not the top 5 guys, but I feel like those guys can extend your bench. If you're on a playoff team, they can give you that little help you need on the back end of your bench if you end up in the playoffs.
Yeah, Boozer would be a good glue guy. He would be good for Memphis.
Boozer, Boozer would be the kind of player that you want to pick up and build a team around, right? Because he's got that, he's got the legacy, he's got his own skills and stuff, but you need to put guys around him for sure.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He's not the most talented, but he may be the best all-around player out there.
Right.
Leadership, passing, rebounding.
If I'm Portland, if I'm a team like Portland or a team like Orlando, I would definitely try to get someone like him just to extend my team. And then that some of these guys are going to move in the next 2 seasons, and he's going to be there,
Yeah, this is a very overwhelmingly draft that's sticking out. Okay, NFL schedule release, man. I don't know where to go with this. Okay, we'll start off with week 1 leaks right now. I'm pretty sure the schedules are already out, all of them complete, but let's just talk week 1 leading in. A must-see for me, and I'm not saying this because you're on here and you're the Mad New Yorker and you like the Jets and Giants, but I'm just saying this because John Harbaugh is coaching the New York Giants. They got Arvell Reese. They had guys like Isaiah Likely added on to this team. They got Malik Neighbors likely to come back for week 1. Okay, you got your second-year quarterback, although he's been out and about too much. He kind of acting like a superstar, and he hasn't really proved nothing. But that's a different story. And they're playing a Dallas team that has made significant gains on the defensive side of the ball. My thing is getting guys like Caleb. Only thing I don't like about Dallas in Week 1 is the fact that this totally got past me, man. But Dallas got this new defensive coordinator. This guy's freaking 34 years old, Christian Parker. He's an old assistant from the Eagles, But they have added guys like Rashad Gary. I mentioned Caleb Downs. You got your guy Quentin Williams in another year from a whole offseason from the New York Jets. If they didn't have this super young defensive coordinator, I think, man, Dallas could really make a run. As much as I like to go against Jerry Jones, they could actually make a potential long playoff run. But I don't know about their coordinator. But all that being said, they had the number 1 offense in the NFL one time last year, like for 5 or 6 games. They got Pickens playing on that 5th year or on that franchise tag. He's going to ball out because he wants that big paycheck. They're going to be interesting, man. That's going to be an interesting game. That's one of the more interesting Dallas Giants games I've seen in a long time. What do you think about that game opening night? Week.
I want to be positive and be like the changes that the Giants are doing are making the team better. But as much as the changes are making them better is not winning. You have to win the games. So I don't think they're at the winning end of this spectrum yet. I want to see them play games to see where they're at playing the game instead of just going off the talent that has been received and moves been made to get. And the thing is that Dak Prescott's like 14-3 against the Giants. So
yeah,
he balls out when he plays this team. So if he gets the ability to stay up, he's gonna make a run at it, and he probably be 15-3 at the end of this game. To be honest with you, it's not that I don't trust the defense.
Are you looking forward to seeing that game? Is that one of your must-see games?
I mean, even though it's gonna be in the Meadowlands, this is a game I'd rather see when in like October or November.
Okay.
But because I want to know what Giant team's gonna go out there on that field. Right now, I don't know what to expect. And I'm still thinking that they might win only 8 or 9 games this year, anyways, because as much as they have all this change, the division's just as tough or even tougher now. So, I'd really rather see this game after I see them play 1 or 2 weeks, and you know how I feel about regular football anyway. These teams. A lot of these games aren't good until week 7, 8 anyways.
Yeah.
Especially with no preseason. So we might see one of these 21-14 games when I always use that score. If you hear me, I use that score because pre-week 6 and week 7, they just are slow and horrible games to watch. This is going to be on prime time.
It'll be a good game though, man. That'll be interesting. That'll be one of the better games of week 1.
I hope, but I'll say it's going to be 21-14 and the Cowboys win just to go ahead and make a prediction.
Oh, you're making a prediction before they even do training camp.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what to expect from the New York Giants. I don't know if they're going to be new or they're going to be the Giants of old. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, I think Harbaugh will bring a lot to him. I'm just disappointed that Dallas – there's so many veteran coordinators they could have got out there. It's easier to build a defense than it is an offense. You had one of the best offenses in the league at one point last year. I don't know what they were thinking. Maybe they couldn't, talk a veteran to come in there and coach this defense. That's a big bugaboo. I cannot believe they hired that coordinator, that assistant from the Eagles.
Well, you got to believe that money talks, and maybe 10 years ago, they would have gotten a better coordinator for their defense. But in today's date and all the things that Dallas has been through in the last 3 seasons, I'm not sure any older coordinator would have taken the Cowboys deal serious. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, and then it just depends who it is too. Like, who would you pick up for a defensive coordinator for the Dallas Cowboys?
Well, I would go back and listen. They had the former coach there for he was a coordinator there a few years ago. The former coach there for the Minnesota Vikings. You know, I would have brought him back. I don't know why they didn't. Maybe he left on bad terms. He was under Mike McCarthy, I want to say, and I don't know why they would. I mean, there's so many veterans out there,
right? There are a lot of older
there's guys out there that's just been coaching for a long time. I mean, Minnesota got Brian Flores. You know, you got to go out and be aggressive and get him. But the fact that they would get this guy, it just beats all I ever seen. I don't know why they would do that, especially when you're making big moves on that side of the ball, trading away Michael Parsons, signing guys, getting extra picks, moving up to get Caleb Downs.
And you know,
a good mind in there to put these guys in position to be successful.
Yeah,
and maybe this guy's going to be good, but I don't know.
I always vouch for the good old Ken Norton Jr. Man, I'm like, yo, somebody needs to make him a head coach, man. This guy's everything. Ken Norton Jr. Everything he touches, man, they're.
Oh, really?
You know, he makes positive. You know, so.
Yeah, Mike Zimmer. I mean, I don't know why they wouldn't. Zimmer's out there, and the fact that they wouldn't, it beats all I've ever seen. But I don't know how things are going behind the scenes with that. Also, week 1, Seattle will play New England in a rematch of the Super Bowl. I think, listen, Seattle lost a lot of defensive players here. They lost the running back, but I think they'll be okay there. But here's my big thing with Seattle. They lost their offense. Their offensive coordinator is a head coach now, the Raiders. Okay? And they have a defensive-minded head coach. New England now will have Will Campbell fully healthy, that tackle there. They're going to move him inside and maybe use this Caleb Lemieux, their first-round pick there at left, or they're going to shuffle that offensive line. Now, it will be played in Seattle. I think that'll be a good game. I don't think it's going to be a blowout like the Super Bowl. Could be. We got to see what happens in training camp. That's going to be a must-see game as well, the rematch. And I think Vrabel, he's going to put all this stuff with this affair behind him, and I think they'll rally. That'll be a great game for week 1. Seattle and, of course, New England. What do you think?
So you're telling me there's a chance?
I tell you the chance. I think the spread will be about 3.5, 4 points, man.
This is 27-24 for sure.
Hey, possibly.
Yeah.
That's not in Foxborough.
Yeah.
So, I know they'll be amped up, but the fact that they have that new offensive coordinator there, they have a running back coming back from injury. The other running back is now with Kansas City. You know how they lost some defensive players there on that Seattle team. They're not going to be they're going to be good. They're not going to be nowhere near as good as the team we saw back in February, man.
Oh no, they'll be hyped though, and you know it all.
They're usually hyped for week 1, yes.
And it all depends on the last team who makes the first team that makes the last mistake. Right.
First team, yeah.
The first team makes the last mistake.
Mistakes, period. And by the way, A.J. Brown will probably be a New England Patriot. That ain't happened yet. That probably won't happen until June 1st when they're able to trade him. All the indicators are pointing that he's going to be a New England Patriot after the Patriots can move him and get that the Eagles can move him and get that cap relief. So look at it from that perspective. You know, they got humiliated in the Super Bowl, man.
I don't know if that's 2 months for Drake May to get in lockstep with AJ Brown.
Yeah.
I don't
they
know
have all training camp to do that, man. You know,
I don't know if that's enough time.
July, August, September. Yeah. We'll see. We'll see. I mean, I think it's going to be, it'll make that game interesting, man.
Yeah, that does put a twist on things for sure.
For sure.
I like
super bad.
for sure.
For sure. Hold on, I keep getting these texts here. Uber keeps telling me about these reservations, and I just take them in the mornings anytime I can get a chance to do it. Okay,
you need to be picking up those parties. The women be coming in at like midnight runs, bro. They be coming in all night long in Nashville. They fly in all night long.
Yeah, they do. But the problem is they throw up in people's cars. I don't want them throwing up.
No, from the airport. Not.
Yeah, I do pick up the women do it. Yes. Yeah. And they ask me 50,000 questions, and I hope they tip.
That's so exciting. They've been in Nashville before.
That's true. That's about how they sound. Okay. We're in Nashville, Chad. I hope you're still watching. Your Jets will come to Nashville. A big storyline for week 1, folks. Robert Saleh will be coaching against the team that fired him 2 years ago. He's going to have a lot of revenge on his mind. Your Jets, by the way, they have a new defensive coordinator. Another team that signed a guy that you shake your head at, 36-year-old Brian Duker, a former Lions assistant, is now their new defensive coordinator. I do like Frank Wright, though. Decent offensive coordinator there to work with Geno Smith. They had a good offseason. They've added some very good pieces in the draft there, the Jets have. But the Titans have added just a flood of players with Ron the Ball, Robert Saleh, on the offensive and the defensive side of the ball. That's one of the games. I do like Tennessee to actually win. If they could, other than maybe Arizona, this is the best matchup for Tennessee to start week 1 here in Nashville. What do you think about that matchup? Very intrigued. Very good storyline to start the season off in September.
This is going to be the old, the battle of the old logos. You know, New York Jets used to be the Titans back in the day.
New York Jets, yeah, they used to be called the Titans, didn't they?
Yeah, so I will say this. This is probably going to be one of the most exciting games.
Yeah.
Because of not just the coaching nuances, but both of these teams feel like they got better offensively. And they're gonna let their quarterbacks, they're gonna let them rip. And Frank Wright don't have a problem to tell his quarterback to let it rip. And Geno Smith, as much as he's not as accurate as people think, loves to throw a long ball. As long as there's somebody on the side to catch it that's not on the opposite team. So, me saying this, I think this game is going to be 27-24, and it's going to be a toss-up on who's going to get that. The last person who has possession will score and will win the game. And it'll be there's going to be a lot of mistakes, and there's going to be a lot of mistakes in a lot of these games. Believe it.
These opening,
there's going to be a lot of offsides, a lot of
big plays too, because it's mistakes on the defensive side.
That's right. So and I feel like, Tennessee's got the young quarterback. They got a wide receiver. They're going to test him out, see how he can fly, see if the speed on tape will match the speed on the field. And vice versa. The Jets are going to test their new tight ends. They're going to test they got a running back coming back. They want to make sure that they get started with him trying to get his 1,000 yards this season. So these two teams that got nothing to lose are going to be the ones that are going to take more chances and more opportunities to feel out what kind of talent they actually was able to pick up. I feel like this game is like a test. More like a test than it is like a game. Right?
This would be a huge disappointment for Tennessee. Their first 3 games are playing the Eagles and the Giants. They could potentially go 0-2 after that win. But if they lose to the Jets, by the way, Geno Smith was quarterback of the Raiders last year in week 1, and they end up beating the Patriots in week 1. The team that went all the way to the Super Bowl. And the Raiders ended up getting the first overall pick. So the Jets, good off. I predict the Jets will have a above average offensive line next year. They just signed Breece Hall to an extension, I want to say, earlier this week.
Mm-hmm.
And you've got the other receiver there. I want to say, who is it? Cooper. What's his face from? Is it Indiana? Did they get that?
They got the Indiana wide receiver, yeah.
They got Garrett Wilson, and of course they've got the tight end there from Sadiq there from Oregon. This is going to be an interesting team here. Now Tennessee's got a lot of defensive players here that upgrade, so I think Tennessee's probably be able to get to them because it's played in Nashville. This could be a great game, man.
No, as long as the weather's nice too, and then they still got the tight end from last year that was a rookie. So
Mason Taylor,
Mason Taylor, and he'll be one year more on the field. So he's not bad. He's I like his talent. He's got up possibilities of moving up. So it's gonna be. I think this game is gonna be like fun to watch. It's not gonna be like that hold the line kind of war zone type of feel. I think this game is going to be let's test the waters and see if this Tennessee whiskey really is worth the shot.
It could be a total disaster. I mean, Cam Ward. Here, not to be a negative bugger. I mean, not to be negative Nancy or anything like that. But
no, we realists.
Titans have not put enough, huh?
We're realists. We're not negative. We're realists.
Realist. I like the way out everything. And the fact that Brian DeBall's last 2 quarterbacks have been injured, okay? He likes to do long rollout plays to his quarterbacks. And you look at, what's his name? Who's the current quarterback with your Giants right now? Jackson Dart. You look at who's the quarterback now for the Colts that used to play?
Danny Dimes.
Yeah. Daniel, what's his name?
Jones, DJ.
Yeah. So you put him, both of those guys got hurt. They both played under the ball. So the Titans haven't done a lot to their offensive line in the offseason. Cam Ward could get hurt again. And he does like to hang on the ball. So not to Chess is keeping it real. That could be a disaster for Tennessee. And they could be looking for another quarterback next year. Hopefully that's not the case. I'm just saying, Brian DeBall's last 2 quarterbacks seem to get banged up. I mean, Dart was in the tent all the time, man. He was trying to get him out of the tent, and he got in trouble for that. Ultimately got fired, Brian DeBall. But
it's because he thinks all these quarterbacks are like the first quarterback that he had on the team.
Everybody is everybody's Josh Allen.
Yeah,
hey, I want to get your thoughts here. Listen to this, Chad. This is the most decorated. Now, the games, I understand it's preseason and everything. There's injuries. These teams might not be this good. But these Thanksgiving games, this is the most talented Thanksgiving lineup I've ever seen. These are the most intriguing. They're a little bit greedy because they put a game on Thanksgiving Eve, which is Wednesday. The Rams at the Packers will be a big-time game. It'll be on Netflix. Go figure. On Wednesday, before Thanksgiving, November 25th. The 26th, Bears at the Lions. Well, those are 2 potential playoff teams. Eagles at the Cowboys, playoff teams potential. Chiefs at the Bills. That's the most talent-rich Thanksgiving slate ever in the history of Thanksgiving games. What's your thoughts about that games?
Aside from the Packers game and the Patriots game, not that I dislike those teams, but they have rivalry weekend after that.
You're taking everything away from Sunday, aren't you?
Woo! Man.
Because they're milking these ratings.
Do they want families to fight on Thanksgiving? I'm gonna be like, you all screaming to your auntie, yo, take the pie out. The football game starts in 5 minutes.
Right.
I mean, are they not? I understand that families, man, they don't even give you time to get a brunch type Thanksgiving. This is going to be like, if you're a football fan, you're going to have to sit down and just not move. Somebody's
Yeah.
gonna have to even spoon feed you.
Those
You
are
can't-
big time games. I mean, the Eagles
huge.
and the Cowboys, dude, that's going to be hyped. These are big rival games.
Yo, the
But,
NFL
hey,
needs to
it's
donate
just-
turduckets to people, bro. Like, you forcing America, all of America, to watch TV all day
We're a
long
little
and not be with
over
their family.
we went a little over. Do you have any thoughts on Bobby Cox dying?
Yo.
We were just talking about Ted Turner
Hey,
last
Terry,
week.
yeah, man. Listen, R.I.P. Bobby Cox, even former Nets player, Jason Collins. You know, tough time for sports right now, but the best thing is that these two leagues are still in play, and it's playoff time for NBA basketball, and it's suiting up to be summertime here for the baseball league, for MLB, and you know, teams are starting to. I feel like everybody in baseball is 500 right now, almost, except for maybe 16.
I think your Mets still have a chance, man.
Yeah,
they're
they're
their manager, but still, they have a chance. If
they're
they have
8-11 for the last few weeks, so it's going to be okay. It's baseball.
It's a long season.
It's a marathon, not a sprint. You know that. But you know, he was a great, not just a great manager, but a great baseball mind. And I say that with a lot of respect, even though he didn't get to win it because there was a lot of teams.
Yeah. Well, they did win in '95, but he should have won more. We talked about that.
Yeah, he should have won more. But you know, good coach, great guy, and a great baseball mind, and he's going to be missed for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Well said there. Mad New Yorker, everybody. Let me give you appreciate you, brother. I'll see you next week. Hopefully next week, man, we could talk more of the schedule release since this came out as we're doing the program.
Talk NBA draft, bro.
Of course. Yeah. All right. See you, man. All right, everybody. I'll be back. I'll probably do a recorded show on Monday, folks, and I'll replay it this week. As I get out of some financial issues I've had, we're going to get this show back going at least 4 days a week, live show. So kind of bear with me, especially as we get closer to the NFL season and whatnot. So if you like the show, share the show and subscribe, folks. Subscribe to the channels at the Real Sports Scope YouTube. If you like the podcast, subscribe Spotify, Apple, anywhere you get your podcast. So have a good night, everybody. I'll see you next week here on the Real Sports